There was a guy from Lake County who was just accused of murdering a guy from Chicago. As the victim backed into the garage of his Northwest Side home, this is back in June, so they just solved this murder. It's a couple months old. Chicago police said that they found 2 rifles and 2 handguns, including one used in the murder, inside the car of a guy named Anthony Jacobson. He's 22. He was driving when they arrested him on Tuesday, so during his bail hearing, the prosecutor said that there's an accomplice who's still out there. They saw the victim. His name is Steve Renteria. He was 38. He walked into a Walmart over in Belmont-Cragen at about 2:30 p.m. on June 16th. Now, Belmont-Cragen, as I told you guys, that's an area you guys have seen in a lot of my videos. It's like a primarily Hispanic, some whites and some blacks neighborhood on the Northwest Side, and it's a pretty heavy gang area with a lot of Hispanic gangs over there. This particular guy, this guy Jacobson, he's got a tattoo on his neck that says "Mi amor," like my love in Spanish, and he's got a tattoo of a cross on his face. I don't know if he has any gang affiliation. Anyways, phone records show that the accomplice called Jacobson right after he saw Renteria. Jacobson arrived at the Walmart while Renteria was still inside the store. So Jacobson waited outside the Walmart in a stolen Audi, and he followed Renteria as he drove to a nearby grocery store. Once again, the prosecutor said Jacobson sat in the Audi in the parking lot while Renteria went inside. While Renteria was inside the store, the accomplice got out of the car 2 blocks from the grocery store and ran to the store's parking lot, where he climbed into the Audi with Jacobson. Renteria returned to his car, and Jacobson followed him with the accomplice in the passenger seat. So surveillance video showed Renteria back into his garage shortly after 3 p.m. And as he did that, the Audi pulled down the alley, and the Audi's driver got out and took cover behind the Audi. A second video, which also has audio, revealed 2 bursts of gunshots were fired. Chicago police officers found 34 shell casings at the shooting scene, 17 from a 9mm firearm and 17 from a rifle. So Renteria was shot multiple times and he died. The Audi's driver, who was allegedly this guy Jacobson, returned, went back to the car, and then sped away. So the prosecutor said that Jacobson's phone pinged at all relevant locations before and during the murder, according to a transcript of his bail hearing. She did not offer a motive for the murder. So after the murder, he spent the night at a hotel in Rosemont. While he was there, Rosemont police spotted the stolen Audi, and they learned that it was wanted in connection with Renteria's murder. So they impounded the car. Investigators later determined that Jacobson's phone connected to the Audi's infotainment system on the night before the murder. Police caught up with Jacobson at a gas station over in the 6000 block of West Addison. So this is like between Central and Austin on off of Addison on Tuesday. He was in a stolen car, and they added that he struck 2 cops with the vehicle as he tried to escape. Inside the car, police found a loaded rifle wedged between his right knee and the center console. Another loaded rifle was on the rear floorboard. So there were a couple other guys in the car, and there were other weapons in the car as well, other guns. On the passenger floorboard was an unusual 9mm handgun with a gold slide equipped with a 50-round magazine and an automatic fire switch. Preliminary test results show that it was used in the murder. Jacobson's social media accounts allegedly contain numerous pictures of him holding the handgun and a rifle before and after Renteria was killed. So I don't know if they took his social media down. So the other guys that were in the car are not accused of participating in the murder. So Jacobson has no adult criminal convictions. His assistant public defender argued that the state did not say that the surveillance video clearly showed Jacobson at the murder scene. She said that he supports a 3-year-old child by working full-time in renovation and demolition. The judge said there are just too many connections between this defendant and the victim in this case to be random. And they said that before holding Jacobson without bail at the state's request. He's charged with first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated battery to a peace officer, 2 counts of possessing a stolen motor vehicle, unlawful use of a machine gun, aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, manufactured delivery of cannabis, and possession of more than 15 grams of cocaine. So it was another crazy weekend, guys, and as usual, a lot of innocent people killed, man. So we're going to just get right to it and start with an 8-year-old girl that was killed on the Northwest Side. And the Northwest Side, I told you guys in some videos, and I've argued with some people in the comments section about this. In general, overall, it's the safest side of the city, but only certain neighborhoods. Belmont-Cragen, Humboldt Park, if you want to call them Humboldt Park, the Northwest Side, Logan Square. These are like there's a lot of gangs in these neighborhoods. But like Sauganash, Portage Park, Irving Park, those neighborhoods up there are really pretty safe, relatively speaking. There's robberies and stuff like that. Edison Park, those neighborhoods, there's robberies and stuff, but there's not like the nonstop gang violence that you get in some of these other neighborhoods. But overall, I would give the safest side of the city to the northwest side. So if you're, in Chicago and looking for some place to just kick it and, where you don't have to worry about too much stuff going on, that's the side of the city I would stay on. But this 8-year-old girl was killed on the northwest side, man, and a memorial was growing for her. They said her name was Sarabi Medina. She was gunned down in front of her dad on Saturday night. So these parents have to mourn for their baby and everything else, and every time they turn around and look, they said they'll know that it was across the street. People aren't going to take their kids to this park because they are terrified. We just wanted to pay our respects to her and to her family, but it's just crazy. This is according to a neighbor. So Chicago police said that a male suspect who's known to police walked up to a group of people in the 3500 block of North Long in the city's Portage Park neighborhood. Now, this is typically one of the neighborhoods that's a little bit safer. Portage Park is not really a heavy gang area. It's like a mixed white and Latino neighborhood. A lot of like immigrants, Polish immigrants and stuff like that, and then Mexican, Puerto Ricans in this neighborhood living together. And there's like a lot of like mixed white and Latino families. This appears to be, her parents appear to be one of those. But they said that suspect then shot the girl in the head on the sidewalk outside her home. She was with her dad. And had just gotten ice cream moments before she was shot. So this is about 9:40 p.m. on Saturday. And again, this is a pretty safe area generally. Several neighbors heard the gunshots. When her father saw the gunman, he tried to stop him. So the gunman was hit in the face with a bullet from his own gun because the dad was apparently trying to take the guy down, and the gun, I don't know if it hit the ground or what, but it went off. They said he ran over there and football tackled this guy. The weapon discharged and struck the offender. This is according to community activist Andrew Holmes. So the girl was taken to Stroger Hospital in critical condition, and she died a short time later. The suspect was taken to another hospital in critical condition, and detectives searched his home. It's not known why the girl was targeted. And they said she was going into fourth grade, and she was looking forward to the start of school. They said she had a lot of life. She had a beautiful personality. It's according to a family friend. They said just very sad, 8 years old, outside playing, senseless, completely senseless. So CPD said that later on Sunday, that suspect was in custody and charges are pending. So as I'm making this video, actually, guys, there's been an update that there have been charges brought now. And they said a Portage Park man now faces murder charges in the fatal weekend shooting of the 8-year-old girl. The guy's name is Michael Goodman. I looked to find a mugshot, and they don't have a mugshot yet, apparently, for this particular guy. There's other guys who have that name, but they're not the right age. He's 43. He's charged with one count of first-degree murder in the Saturday night killing of Sarabi Medina. She was shot in the head about 9:40 p.m., and she was riding a scooter over on Long Avenue. The shooting occurred shortly after her father purchased ice cream for her, according to anti-violence activist Andrew Holmes, and shout out to him. After the kid was shot, her father tackled the gunman, who was then shot in the face with the same weapon, not by the father, but actually the gun, discharged. And he's in the hospital in critical condition, so they don't have a mugshot for him yet. Andrew Holmes said when it happened, he returned from getting ice cream for him and her. He had asked her to go ahead and put up a scooter, and at that time they had noticed the individual on the street, but they said they were wondering what he was doing. Andrew said that the individual was acting erratically, and neighbors saw him cross the street and discharge a gun. He said the father ran at the gunman and football tackled him. The gun then went off and hit the suspect in the face. Holmes said that the father told him that he didn't know the suspect. He said police were still trying to determine a motive for the shooting. Andrew Holmes said that they knew something was wrong with this guy. They said he didn't seem to have it all. Whether he had some mental episode or what, we don't know. So Holmes said that the girl's mother was shot and killed in 2019. He said the shooting has re-traumatized her dad, bringing back painful memories. He said it's a heartbreaking experience for him. And interestingly, one guy who went over there to visit the memorial from the old Irving Park neighborhood said people move to the north side trying to get away from the violence of some of the inner city neighborhoods, and then you run across this. And he's right, it can still happen. On average, though, I would say it's a lot less violent. But anyways, rest in peace to that little girl, man, definitely. Okay, then we had a break in a case of 2 innocent people. Now, one of these was already halfway solved, but there was a guy named Brandon Sanders. He was in court in connection with another murder. Now, this was a murder of a guy named Racine Katanik, who was on a roof doing some type of maintenance on the roof. And this guy, Brandon Sanders, got up onto the roof, took the screwdriver from this old guy, and stabbed him with it and killed him. Now, he was already booked for that, okay? But then they have just solved another murder, and they think they've solved it, and they think that this guy is the guy who did it. So He was in court in connection with this other murder. They searched his West Rogers Park apartment, and they found the body of a young woman stuffed in his freezer. So they apparently solved this murder too. This was an 18-year-old woman, and the woman's family identified her as Iman al-Sarraj. She's an 18-year-old whose life was cut short. Her sister Vanessa, they said, is left heartbroken as she works to bring new life to a garden planted near where her little sister was buried. So this was a woman who, actually, West Rogers Park, I should just mention, West Rogers Park is not like East Rogers Park. You guys have seen me in a lot of videos in East Rogers Park talking about the gang conflicts. Both these neighborhoods are diverse, but the ethnic makeup of West Rogers Park is a little different. It's a lot more Middle Eastern and Jewish in West Rogers Park. A lot of Assyrians, a lot of Arabs. As you start to go west, like off of Devon, Devon is where like all the in the eastern part is where all the Indians are at. But as you go west along Devon, you start to run into Jews, Arabs, Assyrians. Big Assyrian population. A lot of people who were refugees from Iraq. I'm probably going to make another video. I'm planning on making another video on how that particular part of the city became so diverse and the wars that kind of caused that to happen. But it's a very diverse area, and there's black people there, a lot of black people actually, but the majority of them are Africans. You don't see a lot of American black people there, although there are some, but this guy appears to have been one of them. Apparently he was living over there. The high school over there, you got Mather High School is probably the biggest one where a lot of people go. Some people go over to Amundsen. That's a little bit east. But Taft is a little bit far from there. But that area, though, in West Rogers Park, a lot of people go to Mather. And Mather is a big Assyrian population there. But anyways, her sister said just standing where she's at, it broke me. He said she loved butterflies, and every time that I'm here, I'm gardening, I'm planting the flowers for her. There's always a couple butterflies that will just sit next to me. So police found Iman's body stuffed in the freezer while they were executing a search warrant at the apartment. And they said it's hard because we all grew up separately, and I guess we're connected again through death, so it's really hard. The last time I talked to her, she was struggling, and I tried to help her. And if I can do little things to remember her, I always will. According to her sister, she said gardening and planting flowers for her and letting them blossom and bloom is what's helping keep me going. So detectives are now calling Iman's death a homicide. Her family says that she was beaten to death. So the gruesome discovery, they said, was made at Sanders' home on July 1st. On that very day, police sources said that he was already in custody and in court answering a judge on murder charges. So prosecutors said that back in May, he wandered on top of a bakery in West Rogers Park, not far from his home, where retired HVAC contractor Racine Katanik was working. He allegedly took Katanik's screwdriver before stabbing him to death. So her sister said, to murder my little sister, to murder the man on the roof, it's not fair. To play God is not fair. The police would not say when or if charges will be filed in Iman's death while detectives continue to investigate. So they have not brought charges yet in Iman's death. She was only 18. Rest in peace to her, and rest in peace to that other guy. I think that's a very interesting part of the city. I got to make a separate video on that. I keep on putting it off. But anyways, man, rest in peace to Iman, and rest in peace to Racine. Then down on 72nd and Western, we had another guy blowing at police, and this time the police blew back and shot him, but he survived. So a man is in critical but stable condition after officers shot him after he shot at them during a foot chase. So this happened about 6:45 p.m. over by 72nd and Western. The cops over there were doing a narcotics investigation when the man ran from the officers. So during the foot chase, the man fired shots at the cops, and the officers returned fire. The man was shot in the left side of his body, and witnesses told the media that they saw officers chasing the individual before the shooting took place. So they said that they called 911 to get an ambulance. No cops were hurt, but one cop was taken to the hospital for something else. But that area where that happened with the police shootout guys, with the guy over there, that was right over by Face World 7 Deuce, 72nd and Western. That's where you saw me walking around that general area in the video that I did on M Block. That, I don't know who's involved. I don't know where the guy was from or if he was a gang member or what, but that area, unlike what I was saying about the Northwest side, where there's some neighborhoods that are hot and some neighborhoods that are not, that area over there by 72nd and Western is hot. Always. The whole area. So if you're over there, and I've talked to some people over there online, on the internet and stuff like that, and, advise them, if you can, I'm not saying everybody can immediately, but if you can, move a little bit west of that, because the prices of the places around there really, if you're willing to downsize, and you may not even have to downsize, but if you can move to the west, that I would do that. And when I say west, I mean at least maybe like a half mile to a mile, at least. More farther west than that if you can. because the farther west you go from that, the quieter it gets. I wouldn't say it like abruptly stops or abruptly gets sweet at any particular point, but I would definitely get as far west of that as I could. You know, you have to go through, okay, the area of like some gang territories before you get out of that. So at least a half mile, preferably a mile. But if you can get something, to the west of that, and I'm saying to the west of that because people may have jobs in that area that they have to continue to commute to. I mean, obviously, if you can move to a completely different part of the city, the neighborhoods that I recommended on the northwest side are the ones that I would hit. But if you've got to stay on the south side because you've got to be able to take the bus to work or whatever, just straight west, but far, like half mile. That's my recommendation, man, because that area right there by 72nd Western is always hot, man. So yeah, rest in peace everybody who was killed. If you're in Uptown and Rogers Park, guys, too, I got a video hopefully in the works about community meetings that are going to be taking place to address the surge in violence up there. Attend those if you can, and give any feedback, anything from my videos or anything, because a lot of people may not know what's going on up there, and it'll help keep them safe if they do know what's going on. And you guys can give feedback too to the police and everything if they're there. So stay safe if you can, guys, and please attend those community meetings. All residents of the North Pole. Your boy Winnie C. Report. I'm out.